Good morning, Greek exegesis rock stars. I wanted to give another video lecture for week 7, which is midterm week. And this is a tutorial video. It's really clarifying some information that I have already communicated via email about the presentations, the assignment, the group assignment on Tim Beal's book, The Book of Revelation, a biography. So let me give you just a little bit more about my intentions with this assignment and how my thinking has evolved in the last several weeks. So my overall thinking about this assignment and this book is that it's super important for us to know that Revelation has a rich, complex, and creative interpretive history. That is to say, people have been interpreting this book and doing so in creative and weird and strange and exciting ways for hundreds and then thousands of years. And so a class on Revelation really, I think, should give us some sense of that history of interpretation. But rather than asking each of you to read that entire book by Beal in the course of a few weeks, I thought it would be better for us to divide up our labor and to work our way through that book as a class. Originally, I had used the language of presentation, but I think that that is more formal and perhaps anxiety producing than what I had intended, especially given our online modality. So what I've decided is to invite you to think of it as a mini podcast. In other words, I'm inviting you to have a facilitated conversation about your assigned chapter with the members of your small group. There'll be anywhere between 2 and 4 people in this group. And I just simply want you to have a conversation about the chapter. And so it will be less than 15 minutes. I've got a hard and fast 15-minute deadline, and that's for your sake and my sake and the class's sake as well. And let me share my screen just real quick so that you can see a little bit of what I have in mind for our assignment. So this is the assignment description that has been uploaded to the Moodle site, and it walks you through a little bit of what is expected of you. Again, I've already mentioned the 15 minutes in length, but let me give you some real clear parameters about what I'm expecting. Really, I want you to, again, I said, have a conversation about your chapter. So the first things first, introduce yourselves. Who's on the podcast? Who's having the conversation? What is the chapter about? High-level summary. Who is the figure or who are the figures that Beal discusses? Next, share your impressions and your takeaways from the chapter. What surprised you? What do you think was your most important takeaway? And then spend some time discussing how that chapter can relate to your own experience or engagement or interpretation of Revelation. And then you might conclude with any questions that you have or things that you're interested in that this chapter may have presented to you. Again, it's a facilitated conversation that offers a high-level summary of the chapter, a few takeaways, and maybe some questions. Should be easily done in 15 minutes. What I would advise you to do is you will think individually through those questions, and then you will need to find a way to meet or to communicate about how you're going to facilitate this conversation. You may want to find a time to meet as a group. You may handle it all over email, but I would you're gonna have to do something from individual reflection to preparing for the podcast, right? And to ensure that there's some thoughtfulness there, I'm asking each group to submit, along with the recording of their conversation, their show notes, something of an outline of the conversation, the sorts of things that you want to cover. That way, if you happen to run short on time and you have to cut it off before you cover all those topics, you can show me that you were thinking, where you were thinking about going, what you wanted to cover, even if you might have ran out of time. My thought is you can use Zoom pretty easily for this. You could use Medial on Moodle. I've also heard Flipgrid is a good resource. I think there's a number of really easy, intuitive, and free resources that you can use to record this conversation. And I'm happy to help with the tech issues and problem solve as we come. This will be due on Friday, the Friday of the week that it's due. You will submit the link or the file of your conversation and your show notes to me via email. And so the next step, as you can see on the bottom of this, is a sign up, right? I'm leaving it up to you to sign up for this. And so you will follow that link to this page here, and you'll see that there's 4 slots for each of the chapters. That means that's the maximum. This will ensure, I hope, that nobody has a chapter all by themselves. And let me just say in advance that if that's the case, I will be asking people to move so that we have at least 2 people to have this conversation, ideally 3 about each chapter. So you'll sign up. This sign up includes the date that it's due. And what I'll do is, as I receive these recordings, we will add them to the course site, and we will celebrate in the learning together from Beal's book on the history of interpretation of Revelation. Let me say, I'm grading this as a complete incomplete, right? So again, hopefully that frees up some anxiety. If you participate in the conversation and you are a part of the show notes, you get full credit. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not getting into the finer points of presentation style and musical intro or anything like that. We'll just focus on doing this. The act is facilitating this conversation, planning this conversation, and sharing this conversation with the rest of the class. So that's all I want to say about this assignment. I'm sure in the coming weeks, we will have more conversations. I forgot to mention, I said that's all I want to say, and then I have one more thing to say, which is I'm asking you all to sign up by Friday of midterm week. So make your selection from the Sign Up Genius by Friday, so that gives me a couple weeks. It gives the first group a couple weeks to prepare, but it also gives me a few days to reassign people if needed. So again, pay attention to this assignment. Sign up for the chapter from Beal by the end of the Friday of midterm week, and we will have a lot of fun learning it together. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.